Hi, Philip here. 15 is 15. Or is it? Are numbers really numbers? Does anything really exist? Smash that subscribe button to find out. In week 3 of Operation Broken Fang, there's a mission to get kills from a range of at least 15 meters. But people are finding problems with this. Some kills greater than that don't count, while others below do. There are 2 nicely upvoted examples of this over on Reddit right now. It seems like the game can't decide on whether something is greater or less than 15. It's doing 2 calculations per shot, and what's being shown on screen doesn't match up with how the shots are registering. Computers are great at maths, aren't they? This is one of those problems that shouldn't exist. Well, today I'm going to investigate why 15 meters isn't always 15 meters. I'll be honest now, I don't really know why this specific bug is happening. But hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be amazed the problem isn't bigger than it is. What if there's a difference between how far apart the player models are and how far the bullet has to travel to reach them? Player positions are measured as a single infinitely tiny point on the map, but their bodies balloon out in all directions, invading the map in all 3 dimensions. What if this is what's causing the variances? Like if the mission is calculating it based on your distance from the enemy by your central points, while the information it shows on screen is the bullet's distance travelled to the enemy's hitbox. I guess to know this, we'll need to know how much variance there is between different parts of the body being hit. The figures shown on Reddit are pretty close to the 15 meter mark. Sloth Squadron, CSGO's weapon expert, knows the maths behind every shot fired. By getting the weapon's base damage, and by adjusting it for armor penetration, distance travelled and so on, he can work out the exact amount of damage that any shot should deal. But my results have never matched up with his, because when I test these things out in practice, the numbers are always slightly different. Here, allow me to carry out one of my scientific tests. The P2000 has a base damage of 35. Headshots inflict quadruple damage. And since this person wasn't wearing armour and I shot him at point blank range, the damage dealt should be 35 times 4, 140. But it's only 139. Why? Well, thanks to the console command CL weapon debug print accuracy 1, I can see why. I was still 0.6 meters away from him, apparently. And that's enough distance for the bullet to have lost some of its energy by the time it reaches its target. Even though I'm so close to the enemy that I can't physically get any closer to him without this game becoming an 18. This damage difference isn't a one-off occurrence. Every time I test this, I'm always slightly out from the damage and distances I should be testing. When I say an enemy's 512 units away, they're not really that far away because they stick out a bit and bullets take strange journeys to their destination in CSGO. Some people have nightmares about school or work, but I wake up with a cold sweat, terrified that I'm feeding people tiny bits of misinformation with every weapon damage analysis I carry out. These differences don't sound like much, but one day it's going to lead to something serious, like the distances not matching up for a mission like this one. So how is a point-blank shot to the face 0.6 meters out, exactly? Clearly we need to work out 2 things. Where the bullet is being fired from and where it's ending up. The distance should be the difference between these 2 points. You'd think bullets in CSGO should be fired from the gun. Rookie mistake. Bullets in CSGO are fired out of your face. This makes more sense than you think it should. If you're only just able to see over a box and you see an enemy and you fire at him, you want your bullet to hit the enemy, otherwise you'd feel cheated, wouldn't you? But in reality, the bullet would have been stopped by the box, since your gun is usually down a lot lower than your face is. You can argue the pros and cons of this, but CSGO has decided that bullets should be fired out of your face. And that's that. But where are they ending up? In this situation, you'd quite rightly expect that shooting an enemy's face would be closer than if you were firing at his foot. And you'd be right. There you go, his face is 0.6 meters away and his foot is 1.6 meters away. So it seems like it's hitting the player model where it should be. But that's when you're close to the enemy. This sort of distance discrepancy should diminish as you travel further away from the enemy, since the vertical component becomes less important the greater the horizontal distance is. Remember Pythagoras' theorem? This distance here is equal to the square root of the other 2 distances squared and added together. I know you learned this at school and wonder when you're ever going to use it as an adult, but it turns out it's a remarkably useful tool if you're ever going to become a CSGO YouTuber. Thanks to Pythagoras' theory, if you're literally at your destination and shooting at a floor 1 meter away, that bullet will have travelled a distance of 1 meter. But if you shoot at the floor 100 meters away, then it travels 100.005 meters. How does that work? I know the maths, but I still have to double check because it seems mad that a bullet travelling 100 metres this way and 1 whole metre down this way has only travelled 100.005 metres. You know, taking away the 100 metres, it's almost like it's managed to travel 1 metre down in like only 0.005 metres. It's magic. Maybe somebody could use this quirk of nature to create a teleport or perpetual motion of some kind. Or, even less likely, a road that goes straight to your destination. Bear with me here. Say I want to get a bus from Plymouth to Cologne for a Counter-Strike tournament. How can it take a day to do that? It's absolutely ridiculous, especially if you're sleep deprived going one way and hungover going back the other. There needs to be an easier way of getting there. I'm not saying to build a road all the way there, but there's got to be some way of going in a straight line from A to B. The sea might be a problem, but what if they invent some way of going over that? Strap some jets onto it and you could probably do that journey in just an hour or so. If they can do all that, then I'd use it. No problem. Provided it's as cheap as the bus. Sorry, sidetrack there. But it means we can effectively remove the vertical component in the calculation by shooting at players much further away, like this. And even with this, different parts of the enemy are different distances away. Those who didn't listen at school will be surprised to hear that the enemy's foot is now the closest bit of the body to me, even though I'm shooting at it from head level. The back foot, which sticks back a lot further, is now the furthest away, and the head is somewhere in between. And so is the groin. So there you go. Bodies in CSGO aren't points or flat surfaces. They're lumpy, bumpy, and shots hitting them will register different distances depending on all sorts of factors, even if the two of you are stood the same distance apart. Let's see the differences this can cause when stood 15 meters away from the enemy. According to Valve's developer wiki, 512 units is roughly 10 meters, so 15 meters should be 768 units away. But when I tested this in-game, it was actually just 590.5 units. So I placed myself 590.5 units away from an enemy, and a headshot was 14.8 meters away, and a back foot shot was as far away as 15.2 meters. And that's without even considering situations like where one player is stood above the other, which could make these variances even greater, even if technically the two player models, if measured, are the same distance from each other. So if anything, the fact that these problem distances in practice are so close to 15 meters amazes me. Well done CSGO, you've impressed me by being less wrong than I thought you would be. Or maybe I'm overthinking this here, and the reason is much simpler. SV Show Impacts 1 shows where your shots are landing, but there's not just one location, there are two. The red one is client side and the blue one is server side. A lot of the time, these aren't in the exact same place. This was done to make cheats less effective, but honestly I think a lot of it's down to variables like lag, tick rate and hitbox interpolation. And it could be the difference between these 2 points that's causing the problems here. Maybe the blue server-side one determines whether a shot counts as 15 meters or not, while the client-side one calculates the value shown on screen. Given how small the variances are in the reported cases, I suspect it's more likely to be this than the lumpy, bumpy nature of the player models. But it still shouldn't be happening. Valve, please fix.